So for today's video, I thought we could do like one more spooky stories because Halloween is today basically. And I have someone here with me. This is my fiance.
Hello there.
His name is Zack, as I'm sure some of you guys know because I've mentioned him a couple times. So, Zack suggested we read some Reddit ghost stories. I'm pulling some up, and like I said, I'm gonna read a couple, and he might read like one or two just because he's a little shy and doesn't listen to ASMR himself, so he's going to try his best. And so, looking on Reddit, I found one of the first ones called Childhood Experiences. And starting off, they say, I have a ton of stories to share, but I'll start with a few from my childhood home. My dad built a house in the Phoenix, Arizona area in the early 1970s. Previously, the land was a desert. Several of my siblings and even my mom had experiences there. Things would go missing and show up in the oddest places. I had an article of clothing disappear. I looked everywhere, including under my bed, which was very clean and tidy, and couldn't find it. Later, I looked again, and it was there in plain sight. My sister would hear the door open and shut in the early mornings when she was the only one awake, and the door was locked. We felt people watching us. We heard our names being called. Once, I was laying in my bed before school started and felt something like a cat walking on my bed. We had one cat at the time, and he was on my windowsill, bird watching. He hadn't moved. I had some really creepy dreams while in that house that I now wonder if maybe they were more than just dreams. The house now belongs to my brother, who doesn't believe in ghosts, and his wife, who would be too scared to even consider there being ghosts in the house. I wonder if anything has happened since they took over. Both my parents have passed on, and both of them did die in the house. So maybe, I mean, that's really sad that they passed away, but, ooh. Do you have any thoughts on this story, babe?
It was very informative.
I thought they were gonna go into more detail about, like, seeing things.
A little short, but
Yeah, it was a little short. I'm new to, like, Reddit and Reddit stories, so I don't really know how they work or, you know, the updates and everything, but I just wanted to read a couple. It was really short, though. This one is called A Phone Call. It's pretty short, too, but it says, this story is 100% true and not fiction. It might not be scary, but it's very odd. Backstory. My grandma's fiance passed away from cancer when I was less than 1 year old. I'll call him Peter Smith in this story. He was buried the province over from us. A few years ago, my mom, me, and my grandma were going to visit his grave on his birthday or death anniversary. It was one of the two. I can't remember now. The morning of, my grandma was getting ready for us to pick her up. She got a phone call and answered it. It was a doctor saying my grandma was the first contact for this matter, and that Pete's test results were in. She has a brother named Peter as well, so she asked my brother. The doctor responded, no, Peter Smithson. My grandma was shocked and said he died years ago. The doctor said there must have been a mix-up and hung up. We went on the road trip, and my grandmother was still in shock the whole
and I were outside in front of the door of her downstairs apartment. We had been packing some of her items into her car and stopped for a quick breather. Suddenly, we had heard a sound from inside. She had a lighthouse magnet on the fridge that, when physically pressed, made the sound of a foghorn. Well, we looked at each other, dumbfounded, as the magnet foghorn played. We waited a minute, and it went off again. It continued to intermittently play, and eventually we were so spooked we drove to our dad's house late at night. We have had the magnet to this day, and not once since has it reproduced this behavior. 2 or so years later, I was upstairs in the top floor bedroom of the house, alone in my room at night, and laying in bed very much awake. The only other person was my mother downstairs asleep in her room. My room had a walk-in closet, and inside the closet was part of the chimney and the door to a crawl space on the roof. The door to the closets were closed. I was recounting the day when I heard a noise that caught my attention. I figured it was a cat. I dismissed it from my mind. Eventually, I heard the sound become louder, and in time started to focus on it. It was at this point that I thought I heard a voice, and as it got louder, it seemed to be coming from the closet. By this point, I believed I was hallucinating, so I sat up in bed to ideally clear my head. I had dozed off but figured maybe I had been falling asleep. I was attempting to rationalize the situation as I sat up. I heard the voice a moment later, the loudest it had been, uttering the same words I had heard whispered already a half-dozen times before. Burn. Long drawn out in a tired hiss emanating from behind the closet door. I was stunned and scared beyond belief. I heard it one more time and darted out of the door to the staircase going downstairs. To this day, I have always believed the house to be haunted. Part of me thinks that the noise I heard at night was perhaps an animal that had snuck into the attic, but I will never know for sure. I haven't had any other experiences since. Thanks for reading.
Yes, thanks for reading. Now that we're talking about like these stories, this has been on my mind for the last couple of days. So up until maybe like 2 years ago, my parents, or my dad, owned a home in Mexico, so his family home. And the last time I remember being in it, oh, that was my stomach, sorry. The last time I remember being in it was when I was about 3 years old. And throughout my time on this earth, I've heard of my dad talking about the tenants that rented it out experiencing noises, being heard, and seeing things in the house. And the way this house was built was, it was a 2-story house, and on the outside of the home, like against the wall leading up to the second story, was a spiral staircase. I remember it being like old and creaky. They would talk about them hearing footsteps on the spiral staircase going upstairs late at night. So sometimes they would wake up hearing footsteps, or hearing footsteps across the room, but there being nothing there visible. And I remember one night when my family and I were visiting Mexico, I was super tired. Everybody was hanging out in the backyard in their chairs and whatever, and my mom told me to go upstairs and take a nap. And I remember as soon as I laid down to try to go to sleep, there was like so many ants over the bed and on the floor. They were like crawling on me, and I didn't think about this until recently, like this week, and I was like, I wonder if that was a thing. But the ants were everywhere, and I was like crying and screaming because they were crawling on me. Like basically the entire bed and floor were covered in them. And I remember I like ran downstairs and out into the backyard, and I told my mom and my dad, and they didn't believe me, so I told them to go upstairs with me so I could show them all the ants. And I took them upstairs, and there was nothing, no ants, and they called me crazy. And now I'm wondering, thinking back, if that was like an experience I had This shadow version of me was as tall as our closet, at about 7 feet tall. He rolled over to me. Oh, he rolled over to see me still in bed, but the shadow was now gone. You know, he didn't tell me about the accident until a few months later. He told me he didn't want me to be frightened, which was sweet of him, but kind of makes me laugh, given all the high strangeness I've been witnessing over the years. That's my story for today. Thanks for letting me share. Okay, can I share another story? Oh my gosh. I was like, what the there? It's Mariana. I got so scared. Whenever we rent a room out to a friend of ours, and I saw the fridge open in like the family room, and I was like, okay, this is another story. Last time, most recent time I was in Mexico was in 2019, summer of 2019. I went with my brother-in-law, my sister, and then their side of the family. So we visited my brother-in-law's family, and we stayed in his grandmother's home. And I think this is probably the first time I had a night terror. If that's what it was, I'm not sure. But I think I dreamed of there being a wall open next to me, and then a restroom behind it. So it was like a half wall, and then around the corner was a restroom. But I saw this lady just walking around the corner and into the restroom, and then coming back out again, and then just standing at the foot of my bed. And every time I tell this story, I feel like I want to cry. But she was just standing there, kind of like looking over, and I couldn't really make out her face. And this story reminded me of her because they mentioned just a silhouette, and it was like a walking 3D silhouette. So it was like all black. And then I kept trying to ask, like, who are you? Because I was like, that? You know, I was like, who are you? And she just keeps walking towards me and not saying anything. And she gets closer, and at this point, she is standing like right next to me on the edge of the bed. And I'm like trying to reach out and like touch her to be like, who are you? You know, but I can't move my hand. And at this point, I feel myself like blinking really hard, and I can't speak. It's just like, so I'm pretty sure it was probably sleep paralysis, I think. But I'm like, I can't move my hand, and she's just walking closer and closer to me, and I'm asking her, trying to ask her who she is, and then she just like turns from looking at me, and then turns around to look at the wall behind me, and she's probably like 5'3", 5'4". She's wearing this like t-shirt, and then she has like this long floor skirt on, and she has like a high ponytail, and I'm just like looking at her, and she just keeps staring at the wall, and then she just disappears. And that's when I kind of like, I'm able to like wake up, and I was like, maybe it was just a dream, but I was like, I was too scared to let it go, and I started crying, and I woke my sister up, and then she let me sleep with the lights on. But it was scary, guys. Anyway,
Okay, the poltergeist roommate. Once I was just chilling in my house one day, and I heard a noise. Dun dun dun. It sounded like 3 knocks on the door. I checked, no one was there. Then I heard a loud crash from the kitchen. I went to see, and the milk was all over the floor. I mopped it up and went to my living room. I noticed a picture of me had been drawn on. A lot of pranks have been happening since then, and someone is making messes. I think it might be a poltergeist. For example, I saw a cartoon of orange juice dump itself onto the couch. Another time, I was looking through my cupboards and I found a half-eaten sandwich.
you felt great.
On a Sunday, I went to church, but when I came home, I found my bed had been filled with paint. And someone had smudged food all over the walls. And whenever I leave, there is always some new mess that's been made. My car has been egged from the inside. Every time I go to the bathroom, there is saran wrap under my lid. In the middle of the night, I feel like some kid is jumping on me, and my devices have been covered in honey more than I can count. Please help.
Yeah, read that.
I think this may be the story of what it's like having a child.
happy for her. At the wedding, I sat near the back so that my kiddos didn't interrupt the ceremony, and was there. I felt my grandpa. Oh, and it was there. Yeah, okay. When my grandma came out of the changing room in her wedding gown, this overwhelming feeling of happiness and sadness filled me, and I could feel him standing right behind me. I bawled my eyes out. She was beautiful. I think he thought so too. She had asked my mom months ago if it was okay for her to move on, and I think that confirmed it 100%. He just wants her to be happy. I just wanted to share that experience, even though it wasn't spooky, just sweet and emotional for me. Aw, that's bittersweet. It's kind of sad, but I'm glad. Yes. Well. Thanks, babe, for being on this video, or in this video, and for reading some spooky stories with me. Anything you want to say before